I don't want to let him or her go unnoticed. Your Cleveland Guardians, they played the Twins 3 times over the weekend in Minneapolis. They won once. They won on Saturday.
Yeah.
3-2. 3-1 Twins was the final yesterday. Guardians are off tonight. I was reading an article this morning that said the Cleveland Guardians are the team that no one thought they're the one. What did this say? The Cleveland Guardians are the team no one saw coming, which makes it sound like it's a secret weapon or something.
Like people I think thought the Guardians were going to be like bottom of the barrel this year, and they're okay.
The garbage Guardians.
Garbage Guardians.
Anyway, tomorrow night they'll start. They're playing 2 against the awful Cincinnati Reds. So if they lose one of those, boy, they better beat the Reds twice.
Sure hope so.
6:10 tomorrow and Wednesday here on WMMS and on the iHeartRadio app. So be listening there.
Well, I tried to open with the Guardians because I'm like, hey, I'm from Cleveland. People always ask me about that. And in Oklahoma City, and boy, did they not care about the Guardians whatsoever. So I had to pivot and get into some other material. So it went fine after that. But
why did you? What was the impetus for that? You thought they would care?
Because I'm from Cleveland, and usually you go, I'm from Cleveland, so you bring up something that's topical to you, try and tie it into their city because they have a baseball team there. Then, like, I guess Mickey Mantle's from that area.
Oklahoma City has a baseball team, like minor league.
Yeah, they got the Oklahoma City Dodgers.
Oh, they do. Mm-hmm. But it's a Thunder town, right? Like that's the big. That's
the pro team.
Pro team, yeah.
But I think Mickey Mantle's from Oklahoma City.
Was this when you were talking to the Indian crowd?
Yeah, I should have thought about that. I'm like, no, of course they don't care.
Oh, you didn't even go the Indian route.
Yeah.
That would have been the tie-in, I thought.
I know, and I'm so stupid.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
But you said, they changed the team name?
Yeah.
And didn't mention Indians. To a room full of Indians.
Mm-hmm.
And so what, they were just like,
They're like, okay.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, whatever, buddy.
Yeah. And they were all local?
Yeah.
Yeah.
From what I can tell.
Oh, God, I took my daughter to see Sonic the Hedgehog 2 yesterday because Gwen was out. She went on some mushroom foraging event.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Are you guys doing all right? I thought you were a millionaire. She's got to go forage for food?
She loves that stuff. She loves getting out and, yeah. Anyway, somebody, the guy over at Larder was putting on some mushroom foraging thing out at Nelson's Ledges, and so she went out there, and I said, well, we'll go to the movies.
Did they find any mushrooms?
I don't think so.
Nelson Ledges is so far.
Oh, yeah.
It's like an hour and a half away.
Hey, when you like mushrooms, you want to travel for them, boy.
Imagine driving all the way out to Nelson's Ledges to search for mushrooms and not find any. Also, you have to try to not find mushrooms at Nelson Ledges.
Well, I don't think she was foraging those kinds of mushrooms.
Yeah, but if you don't find any of the other ones, you go, well, I might as well take some of these so I don't come out completely empty-handed.
Well, it wasn't the gathering of the juggalos out there. They were out doing a thing, and, anyway. So she found a bunch of other things, cattails and things you can cook up, but I think the mushrooms were the hook. And anyway, they didn't find any. So I go, well, we'll go to the movies then, right? I just like going to the movies. So I said, we'll go see Sonic. God damn, is this movie loud. Loud. I'm like, she had like her hands over her ears a lot of the movie. I'm like, are you okay? Like, do you want to go? She didn't want to go, obviously. And I always get seats in the back row. And I don't think, there might have been one other person in the theater because it's been out for a little while. Mm-hmm. And I think everybody who was going to go see it went to go see it. We just hadn't seen it. It was so loud. I'm like, all right, I get it. It's loud. It's like a kid's movie, for Christ's sake.
They like it loud. Kids like
do
loud
they
things,
though?
don't they?
Maybe. Do they? Like if your kid has her hands over her ears? I'm like, this might not.
Maybe they had that.
I haven't been to grown-up movies that were that loud. Like Dune wasn't that loud.
Well, Dune wasn't loud at all. Dune was just kind of
Dune.
quiet.
When I saw Dune, it was very loud. The mix was weird.
Okay.
Like the dialogue was underneath.
Quiet,
yeah, but it was a loud movie.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy moly!
That's the new way of making if you're making a serious movie, you got to make sure that the action is overly loud, and then the dialogue is just whispery mumbles.
Yeah, that's got to make
the Nolan.
That's got to make the script writers feel great. Mm-hmm. The people who wrote the dialogue, and then no one can hear it. The complaint is that none of your work translates in the movie.
Yeah, Christopher Nolan loves doing that.
I mean, you get paid if you're writing the script for a movie, but if nobody can hear what you wrote,
Like getting that next gig.
guess not. Will Smith, they said, has probably lost his gig playing the genie in Aladdin, and it's probably going to be Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Why are they going to make another Aladdin? The first one wasn't good.
Don't know.
Well, there are 3 Aladdins. Like there's
Oh, I remember.
I was gonna say Return of Jafar.
The
and-
first one it was
But didn't
good.
2 of them go direct to DVD?
Yeah.
Yeah, Aladdin and the 40 Thieves.
Right.
Yeah, they don't need to make another Aladdin.
But again, they're on a kick where
I know what they're doing, but did it? I mean, you saw that Aladdin, the live action. It was trash.
It's because the casting. They're trying to be so woke with the casting and the way they added songs that didn't need to be added. They put these actors in there that.
What do you mean? How are the songs woke?
Well, they gave Jasmine a song, and it's all like girl power. Like, you're not going to silence me. I have a right to choose.
How is that woke? Like, that's what people
Classic.
are fighting for right now.
It wasn't in the original.
But they're not going to do a shot-for-shot live-action version of the cartoon.
The songs were fine, and then the Aladdin wasn't as hot as the real Aladdin. Like, I rather
Boy, if only he got worked up about things that really matter in
It
life.
matters.
Can we also take one moment there to understand that he said that the Aladdin wasn't as hot as the real Aladdin, which is
the animated
cartoon.
A cartoon.
Aladdin.
I would rather bang the animated Aladdin than the Aladdin. that they had
Robin
in this
Williams?
No, that's
movie. That's the genie.
Yeah, Will Smith played the genie.
Yeah, no, but he's talking about the guy that played Aladdin.
I see.
Yeah, so
So you think they shouldn't have gotten Middle Eastern people, and you want to silence women?
no, they should have gotten some of these Disney actors, literally the ones that walk around the park. They are good Aladdins. Like they just.
Well, maybe this guy was a Disney Aladdin.
I feel like they spent all their money on the Beauty and the Beast, and they didn't want it. They just were lazy with
They
Aladdin.
had nothing but money.
And it just makes me mad. Well, then they wasted it.
Who directed that? It was like Guy Ritchie, I think.
Oh, Madonna broke his heart. Now
The Aladdin live-action film?
Yeah.
Oh, God, I have no
I
idea.
think it was Guy Ritchie.
Wow.
No, it just broke my heart. That's my favorite Disney movie, and they
Boy, it was Guy Ritchie.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
they ruined it.
So he thought he was going to have a $1 billion movie on his hands. Oh, guess what he did? He made $1 billion.
It did make money. I'm
Oh,
not
I didn't
saying
think it
make-
did.
No,
Oh,
it
okay.
made money.
How much did the
but
Beauty
it-
and the Beast make?
It just wasn't good.
Oh, I thought it flopped. Oh, it made $1 billion. It was the 9th highest grossing film of 2019.
So
Avengers Endgame. I mean, when that's making $3 billion, you're going to
Yeah.
be way down the list. Yeah. Boy, Joker made $1 billion.
Yeah. That's
Wow.
like a record-setting R-rated film.
Yeah.
Like that. I think that's the R-rated film that's made the most money ever.
Speaking of R-rated, the Toxic Avenger reboot, they said, is going to be a hard R. Do you remember the Toxic Avenger? Did you ever
Trauma.
see it?
It's a trauma.
Trauma films,
Yeah.
yeah. The Toxic Avenger. See, they were called melt movies. If you're a Gen Xer, you might remember this. These were a big deal in the 80s because I think, they say that cinema reflects kind of the vibe of the time. And in the 80s, there was so much concern over nuclear war, kind of like now with Russia. But it was the Cold War in the 80s, and so the not sci-fi movies, but like the horror movies, there was a whole genre of horror movies called melt movies. Or like body movies, where people were all getting all gooey. And Toxic Avenger was one of those. I loved these movies. Toxic Avenger was this nerd who he falls into a vat of acid. It's the Joker, Jack Napier origin story. And he comes out.
Not acid. It's toxic waste.
Toxic waste. I'm sorry, yeah. It's originally called the Acid Avenger. He falls into toxic waste. And he's a janitor, so he comes out holding a mop, and he's wearing a tutu and the whole thing. And he's disfigured, but he has superhuman strength. And so he takes revenge on the people. Super low budget.
Yeah. Lots of boobs.
Lots of boobs. I was
Lots of
13
boobs,
when
yeah.
this movie came out. It wasn't in theaters, I don't think. It wasn't in any near me. But those 80s melty movies, there was Toxic Avenger. There was a movie called The Stuff about a year later. Remember The Stuff?
I don't remember the
It was about this addictive yogurt substance that people were eating, but it would eat them from the inside. And it was done. Garrett Morris from SNL's in it. There was a movie called Street Trash. You ever seen that?
Nope.
So this is later. So
I know Toxic Avenger. All the rest of these that you're talking about, no idea.
Well, I'll give you a quick primer here. So you got Toxic Avenger around 84. You got The Stuff about a year after that. And some people listen know exactly what I'm talking about. These movies are dynamite. Street Trash was closer to 1990.
Riff Raff, I won't buy that. If only they
Street Trash was this low-budget movie about homeless people who find... It opens with like this guy who owns a bar finds cases of this really, really old liquor. And he goes out and it's called Tenafly Viper. There was actually a local band. There was like if you can call it a super group. There was a local band here in Cleveland years ago. Some of the Mushroom Head guys, some of the Chimera guys, they had a band called Tenafly Viper. And so I knew they knew this movie because the booze was called Tenafly Viper. And the homeless guys would drink the booze because it was booze. And their bodies would contort and melt, and it was amazing. These movies were dynamite. Huh?
Basically,
it's a crocodile.
Crocodile, yeah.
There was a movie called Slime City. So, Toxic Avenger, I think, kind of kicked off that whole 80s melty kind of thing. And they're rebooting the Toxic Avenger with like legit actors.
That's
and a budget.
wild.
And they're going to make it a hard R.
Well, yeah, you got to make it a hard R.
I mean, the original Toxic Avenger, like Bill said, it was basically half boobs and half gore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then no good jokes, but a lot of jokes.
Yes. Yes.
Like they were trying to be real funny in that one, and they were not good.
So the new cat, this guy Macon Blair, if you're familiar at all with his movies, he did a movie called Blue Ruin, and he's a really good like suspense horror director, young dude. So he's going to direct Toxic Avenger. Elijah Wood.
Okay.
Kevin Bacon. Peter Dinklage. Please make him the Toxic Avenger. Julia Davis. I don't know who that is. And then this kid, Jacob Tremblay, who's like been in a couple of movies, have been nominated for things. So I hope they don't ruin it.
I don't think you can.
And you can.
I don't think you can.
I
mean, you just make a bad version of it, but they also made like 80 sequels.
I guess so. Yeah. But I mean, Trauma Studios, they were the ones that did like Class of Nukem High. That was another one too that I remember watching. And Surf Nazis Must Die. So it was all these
Kabuki Man.
Yeah, all these.
Now that I think about that one, he was a cop that somehow got turned into a samurai warrior.
Yeah. He wore like the makeup and They had Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead,
Tromeo and Juliet.
Yeah, Tromeo and Juliet.
Ugh.
Shakespeare Shrimp Storm was one of their movies. So they had I think they also did Mother's Day in the early 80s, which was pretty good. There were two horror movies, Mother's Day and Father's Day.
That's where James Gunn got his start, was making trauma movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. And they had a lot of the same people in them, these B-movie actors and whatever. But yeah, they're going to redo Toxic Avenger and make it a hard R.
They had a pretty good following for a while. Who was that guy that ran the studios?
That ran Trauma Studios?
Yeah.
Oh, I had no clue.
Because he would be in all the promotional material, and Lloyd Kaufman?
Maybe.
I think that's a good.
Founded by Lloyd Kaufman and Michael Hertz in 1974. Okay.
Oh, all this dumb stuff that I know.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're still around.
Yeah.
It is wild what sticks in your brain.
Yeah.
You're like, when's your mom's birthday?
Oh.
I don't know. You know who Lloyd Kaufman is? Yes, I do.
You know why I know that is they were the ones that distributed the Matt Stone and Trey Parker movie, Cannibal the Musical.
Oh, okay.
So whenever we'd show that to anybody, me and my friends were really into South Park and those guys, we had to order it from the internet. And that was, this is like 1998, where you're like, I gave somebody my money. I don't know if I'm going to actually get the movie. But so it got delivered, and we'd show it to everybody we could because the musical, Cannibal the Musical, was so ridiculous, and it was a trauma film, but it wasn't like the other trauma movies that were just, they just needed somebody to distribute this student film that they made. And it's a very funny musical, though.
Did you see the video of the kid who drove the Tesla into the Columbus Convention Center?
What?
Oh,
This teenage kid in a Tesla smashes into the Columbus Convention Center at 70 miles an hour. So the security camera, it looks like the car just vaporizes. He caused more than $250,000 in damages. Imagine that.
Is that why the stock went down?
Hey, where's my Tesla? Dad? Yeah, the video's wild.
Imagine crashing a car that drives itself.
Yeah, they don't drive themselves yet. I mean, I don't think that's what was happening here.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, he was obviously driving.
And there was nobody inside. Yeah, crashed head on into the Greater Columbus Convention Center, or after the driver lost control of his brakes. Right.
Well, you know, with those pesky brakes being so hard to find, how do you lose control of the brakes?
I don't know. You know, we were having dinner at some friend's house in our neighborhood on Saturday night out there on the back deck. And my buddy is an engineer. And he's like, we are 100 years away from autonomous vehicles. He's like, all this nonsense about like, oh, they're right around the corner and everybody's car's gonna be driving itself. He's like, there are so many variables in everyday life that cars aren't even close to recognizing yet. He's like, they'll do because we've all heard these stories about like, it doesn't recognize a black person at night. Mm-hmm. It thought that llama was a bicycle, all that dumb crap. They're like, they'll do these tests where they're trying to recognize like semi-trucks on the highway, and they'll recognize the truck until they tip it over. Yeah. And past a certain degree of tip, it doesn't even recognize. They go, a truck isn't sideways. We don't know what that is. So like this notion that we're right around the corner from autonomous vehicles is a fantasy because there are so many variables. You know, they can do like on a controlled track, so they can put something in the news and they go, look at this. This is great. They'll like, Ford Motor Company will have like a little downtown that they'll run their test cars in or whatever. They're like, yeah, in a controlled environment, it works fine. Yeah, you put it out into the world with llamas and black people. People are getting killed.
You know, real America.
Real America. It's all llamas and black folks. And both of them need to be protected from ne'er-do-wells.
The Tesla thing reminds me of the hot dog sketch from I Think You Should Leave.
We got to find out who did this. He's standing there in a hot dog costume. Yeah.
You're dressed like a hot dog. So's that guy.
Oh, boy. How are we going to find out who did this?
Yeah, but in this version of it, it's a crypto bro being like, we got to figure out who did this.
Yeah.
If somebody that has Dogecoin, fess up.
So, yeah, the kid, unbelievably, is fine. He just did about $250,000 of damage, and he ended up at the hospital in stable condition. But the car looked destroyed.
Yeah, the front end gets completely smushed.
But as soon as people stop getting randomly killed by a car that thinks you're something else, that dream will be closer in sight. But
people are also getting randomly killed by people that are driving cars, too.
That is true. There is that.
Heaven's getting filled, because people's getting killed. Lordy, 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 hell on wheels. Yeah.
This has been Hell on Wheels for Monday, May 16th. I'm also fascinated, and then I'll go to break here, but I'm always fascinated at who the oldest person in the world is at any given time. And the woman who is the oldest person in the world right now is 128 years old.
Whoa. There was somebody older than her?
At some point.
I feel like,
this is a woman who lives in South Africa.
Wow.
So she's lived through British colonialism, which was kind of a big deal where she's from.
Yeah.
Apartheid, ditto. And 2 world wars. And of course, they will invariably ask them, what's the secret? Her name is Johanna Mazabuko. And she's 128 years old. They believe she is the oldest person in the world. She said fresh milk and wild spinach. So again, it's a tale of...
Did Gwen get any wild spinach on her foraging adventure?
I don't know. She came back with a whole thing of flora,
Okay.
just no mushrooms. And I didn't go because I couldn't care less about mushrooms. She was hoping for morels.
I know where grocery stores are, so that's why I want to go.
She likes it. She's getting her hands dirty in the earth.
I don't.
But, boy, fresh milk and wild spinach. You know, you come over here and they're like, how did you live this long? This is why there's no hard, fast rules to anything. Because they go, how'd you live this long? She's like, Dr. Pepper and cigars. Over there, they're like fresh milk and wild spinach because that's what's out back in Johannesburg.
Of all the things we've heard, though, I feel like this is the one that makes the most sense because those are two nutrient-rich foods, whereas Dr. Pepper and cigars.
You're saying those are less nutrient-rich?
From what I can tell.
All right. Well, yeah.
I'm no dietitian
Fresh milk, but she declined.
to say whether it's 1%, 2% whole
No,
milk.
it's the animal.
Good size, nice llama.
Fresh milk and wild spinach. Because I think that's part of it too. The milk's fresh and the spinach can't be tamed. Everybody's trying to get their vegetation under control, right? They're putting wires around it. They don't want animals eating it. Wild spinach.
Imagine how strong Popeye would have been if he ate wild spinach and not canned spinach.
Woof.
He would have been really kicking ass.
Man. This woman was the oldest of 12 children. So all her younger siblings are dead.
Also, how gross was that spinach? It looked so gross.
Yeah, on the one hand,
yeah,
you're fighting locust infestations every few years there in South Africa, and then, what's left over? Well, we've got some fresh milk, and we've got some wild spinach.
I was talking about Popeye spinach looking gross.
Oh.
Because he'd squeeze it out of the can and just like slump into his mouth and be like, now I'm strong. What a weird cartoon.
Well, they were trying to get kids to, back then they were like, hey, eat your vegetables, right? Now, if you tell kids to eat vegetables, you're a libtard or something. Hey, kids, don't be fat. And don't tell me what to do. If they tried Popeye today, it'd be considered I don't need your liberal agenda on my cartoons. Give me more Pepe Le Pew.
Still think they should have at least made Popeye eat spinach that was, not
fresh?
in a can. Yeah, because I didn't even know spinach came any other way as a kid.
You wanted him to walk around with a fresh bunch of spinach in his hand?
I mean, is that any more weird than walking around with a can of spinach?
Well, a can is contained. You could toss it to somebody could toss it to you.
Also,
I needs me spinach. They could toss it to you in can form.
Why not eat more on a more regular basis so you are sustained with energy rather than only eat when you have to beat someone up?
And why spinach? Because if you recall, if you're old, and I mean, listen, Popeye predates all of us, but if you recall, he had a couple of mantras he lived by, right? First of all, he yam what he yam. So why not yams? He's already saying it. And he was strong to the finish because he eats me spinach. Yeah. I've got
also so much emphasis on vegetables, none on grammar.
Good size, nice llama.
Yeah. So the lesson was, however much money Big Spinach spent on Popeye cartoons, the lesson was, it'll keep you healthy, won't make you smart.
The only thing that actually was truthful in those shows is that back then you could harass women and get away with it. I mean, you get punched, but then you're right back on the street to do it again.
Right.
They never put Pluto away.
Bluto,
for good.
yeah.
Is it Bluto or Pluto?
Bluto. Pluto
yeah.
was Mickey Mouse's
That's
dog.
Right. Okay.
Blutarski, that's Animal House. Yeah, and he's out there, big dude, right? Squeezing olive oil like she did, whatever. He's not eating spinach.
No.
He's out there having Dr. Pepper and cigars. I got a break. If you want to get the last word in, shoot me a text 35192.